I'm absolutely buzzing to be introducing this next session. It's the one and only Richard Robinson. For those of you in the room who don't know him, he's the Executive Director of Ingenuity Plus. He specialises in connecting the marketing world, and he is absolutely the best in the business when it comes to putting together and moderating panels of marketing powerhouses. So this one is going to be fantastic. I know we all want to know, so I'd like to welcome Richard to the stage to take us through, with his team, what's keeping CMOs awake at night. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction there. No pressure there on me whatsoever. So my name's Richard Robinson. As you heard, Executive Director of Ingenuity Plus. I'm a white man of a certain age, wearing stereotypically a pair of Levi jeans, white shirt, some natty buttons, and a blue jacket. But more importantly, the reason why I get to sit in front of you with Creative Equals, I was here on day probably 3, I think, of the formation of Creative Equals. It's an organisation I've been with right from the start. And it's an organisation I dearly love. My moment of intersectionality, we can do a quick straw poll in the room. Who here's from the Isle of Wight? It happens every year, It's just me, God. Now and again, people will get off the island and onto the mainland. You heard about St Kitts earlier. If you haven't been there, it's like St Kitts. It's like a couple of miles off the south coast of England. Go there, please. Tourist board pays me £5 every time I say that. Right, now, have I got an absolute treat for you this afternoon? We sort of, I get permission, I suppose, to put together panels of CMOs that I think are changing the way that we all think about marketing in the UK. And most importantly, people for today who really think about inclusivity. Okay, so let's just go down the line. Insurance, massive participatory sport, totally inclusive drinking, and just top man, who I'm going to come back to in a sec. Okay? We have the amazing Claudia Nichols, who's Chief Customer Officer of Simply Health, a huge veteran of brands like Procter & Gamble, KFC, Pizza Hut, which a real tireless powerhouse of the industry. Alongside her is Kerry Williams, Chief Marketing Officer of Sweaty Betty, formerly of Nike, and, might I just do it, how many caps do you have playing hockey for Great Britain?
96.
96 caps, so she will be around for selfies later. Is it? Alongside her, we have the incredible, if anybody missed the Lucky Saint campaigns in January, I don't know where you were, because frankly, it was just wall-to-wall distinctive brand assets. But the amazing Kertu Inkaronen, Marketing and E-commerce Director from Lucky Saint, an absolute powerhouse, formerly of Union Coffee, somebody who I love dearly because you always work for brands with purpose. And lastly, and by no means least, probably one of the industry's foremost thought leaders, provocateurs, thinkers, fellow of marketing in Cambridge University, co-host of the Places We'll Go podcast, which is just brilliant, box office co-host. It was amazing, Mark Evans, who's down here at the front. And there's something I was going to say about you as well, which I now can't remember. But anyway, amazing man. So first up, quick fire round with some descriptions for everybody in the room. I just want to know, what's making you feel optimistic? Why are you feeling happy about this industry right now, Claudia?
Thank you, Rich. I am Claudia, a white person from the Netherlands, a woman from the Netherlands with blonde hair. There you go, and red glasses. What makes me optimistic about the future is, it may seem a bit bizarre, but that it's now official government policy that the NHS is broken. Because at least we can now say it so we can fix it together. And there's also an increasing recognition of the fact that private companies like ours, purpose companies like ours, have a role to play alongside the NHS.
Brilliant. Kerry, what's making you feel upbeat and happy?
So I'm Kerry. I am mixed origin, so Caribbean and English, and I'm looking like a Sweaty Betty Mel B right now. I'm really optimistic about the power of people. So I think you heard in the last talk how it feels like the world's gone backwards a little bit right now. And when that happens, I think it leaves the door open for people to really step forward and really show the human side and what they're about. And I think I'm starting to see that within my friends, my community, with like that local connection and the need for people to actually step up and Power technically is with politicians, but I think the power really is with the people, and hopefully we're at the time where people are realizing that.
And as somebody actually who's interested me, because as somebody who I know, whenever I see Kerry, she's always wearing Sweaty Betty. Everything is Sweaty Betty. And you walked in today and I was like, oh my God, Sweaty Betty does jackets. This is amazing. And you had to confess.
I don't think you can be a chief marketing officer without wearing the brand that you are representing.
Yeah, I love it. But I thought you were doing jackets, and now no, you just turned up to smart.
But there is going to be 2026. There'll be a level of sport tailoring that I think you need to keep your eyes out for. So yeah, then I won't have to. Then I can be full everything socks all the way through.
Kertu, what's making you happy?
I am white female and wearing a white top, my favorite at the moment, which has a picture of a clam with a shell and a pearl. What's making me happy? I was thinking about this morning, and actually events like this, so with everything going on in the world, the fact that we are a couple of hundred marketeers here, passionate about the topics of today, and just this community. I've seen already so many familiar, lovely faces here, so the fact that we are all here today is making me happy today.
Brilliant. And Richard?
Thank you, Rich. It's an absolute privilege to be here, and lots of love to Ali for putting this on. It's incredible what you've been able to do. What's keeping me happy? Well, first of all, Richie, I'm mixed race, half Indian, half Scottish, big eyebrows. That's the game. I was born with them. I think it'd be remiss not to first address the thought that we're living in uncertain times, ambiguity. People are feeling that, and I think a lot of people in this room might be feeling the same. Certainly, I feel a sense of it too. And therefore, I move along and kind of go, well, there's a lot of reasons to be pessimistic, but that's not your question. On the other hand, I was actually doing a session with a group of students at Cambridge just this week, and I was kind of walking through the gates, and for some reason, I had this sort of spring in my step. And I kind of went, well, what's that? What's that little feeling that I had as I walked out with those students there? And I got a sense from them that it was all about hunger. The next generation are hungry. And I loved that sort of notion. And they were hungry not just to earn a living via a paycheck, but actually they were in search of meaningful work. Meaningful work that is empowering, that's growth-orientated, that's impactful, and that's purposeful. And that sort of mindset of being hungry for actually finding work that they love to do is something that I'm hugely optimistic about. And I think if the ... for just one moment was kind of going, well, where does that come from? What's the nucleus? I think there's a little bit of inner child. And I think all of us can just tap into our inner child a little bit more. I think we'll grow empathy. I think we'll be able to find what we truly want to do. And we'll also be able to tackle some of the biggest challenges that we have in our day.
Richie, thank you. So, we're in a room full of creative people. I know, even if you work for a brand, you are a creative person in my book, okay? But inclusive creativity, we've sort of been hearing people touching on it. Lenny gave his big speech earlier on, talking about the world he grew up and went through. How important is inclusive creativity and the message that you're communicating as brand marketers? And I'm going to start, Kertu, as well. And we talked earlier because, I like non-alcoholic drinks. Saying it publicly, my name is Richard, I like non-alcoholic drinks. It's like reverse AA. So I love what you've done for the world in the drinks. But so how important is this?
So for us, it's really the fundamental mission for the business. So like you said, there's alcohol-free only brand, alcohol-free beer. And there is still so much stigma around not drinking. And our whole mission is to make especially social occasions inclusive for people who are not drinking. So if you think about the human history, so many social occasions, celebrations, getting together with your mates at the pub, they are all around alcohol, and we know that it makes people who are not drinking feel excluded from those situations. So that is the whole mission for the business. And we, actually there's some shocking statistics, like 1 in 3 men in the UK are still embarrassed to order alcohol-free beer in the UK. That was last year from a study, so it's still changing sort of slowly. And from brand point of view, what we are trying to do is to build a brand that people are proud to be seen with, so aspirational brand in its own right, that you don't need to be hiding in the corner, trying to make it look like you're drinking something else. But then also what we are trying to do is to work beyond that brand and product proposition. Product-wise, by the way, pint is such a game changer. So for us, that's that societal cultural moment on having pints with your friends. So what we are focusing on is really offering the product in a pint. So, and so many people come up to me and say, you've literally changed my, not me personally, but like you said, changed my life, because now I can go to a pub and have a round of pints with my friends rather than having a soft drink in a bottle or something else. But then, in addition to, I guess, focusing on our own brand, what we are doing a lot of work on is on the overall society. So working with government to change legislation around alcohol-free to push the category onward, working with bodies like Alcohol Change UK, and then also in sort of wider press, PR, cultural conversation, trying to put out stories that make people understand that drinking alcohol-free is a growing behavior. And how many people here have heard of the term zebra striping? So a couple, still more work to be done. But those are the kind of behavior. So that means that you are in the same session drinking alcoholic and alcohol-free options, and you are sort of alternating. So these are the kind of behaviors that we are talking about in press and society, because we know that people, once they think that and hear that the behavior is something that everybody else is doing, you feel more comfortable doing it yourself. So that's what's really changing behaviors. So we focus a lot on narrative around changing that cultural, societal discussion around alcohol-free. So in answer to your question, very important for us.
Thank you. And Kerry, if I come to you, I want to talk about brands with purpose. So you're obviously a stalwart of Nike before you went into Sweaty Betty. Now Sweaty Betty, which has taken on a real life of its own. As a marketer and as somebody who is head to toe Sweaty Betty at the moment, how important is it for you to really believe in the purpose of your brand, especially if that purpose might be around authenticity or inclusivity?
I think it has to be part of your DNA. I think it was two speeches ago that were saying that you have to be authentic in who you are. So every single brand that I've ever worked with is because they're enabling not just women, but enabling all people to be able to move. I think that's the most important thing. You can combat mental health. You can have the inner confidence. There's so much that comes from being physically active, and the product that you do it in is almost just the enabler. So I am, every brand I pick is because of the emotion and what it can do for the individual, for the community. So Sweaty Betty is to empower women through fitness and beyond. That is the mission that we have, and it's been there since Tamara, the founder, founded the company 27 years ago. And as part of that, we also have a Sweaty Betty Foundation, which is then enabling girls to move. It was the same at Nike. We always had charitable partners that we worked with, but to be in a company where it's not about selling leggings. Well, obviously, the CFO will tell me it's about selling leggings. But as a marketeer, it's about enabling people to move, making them look good, feel good when they're doing it, and understanding what are the issues behind what's preventing them mentally from being able to be physically active. How do we address that in our marketing campaigns? And then how do we support and enable it through our products? So for me, it's vital. I don't think I could work for a cigarette company, for example, or for something that was damaging your health. I think I'd always have to align myself to a brand that is improving health.
Yeah, and talking about health, Claudia, you obviously are changing the way that we all think about health in the UK. Do you want to expand a little bit maybe on that purpose side of things?
Yeah, if I can build on what Kerry just said, and I hope I'm not offending if there's anyone here from P&G or Yum Brands. I'm sorry about what I'm going to say, but I worked for 17 years between Yum Brands, which is the parent company for Pizza Hut, KFC, and Taco Bell, and for Procter & Gamble, and I'm really grateful for the rigor and discipline that has given me and the customer centricity in all of what I do. But now that I've moved into the world of purpose brands, I don't think I would go and work for them anymore. And that's different, right? And I didn't expect that when I worked for my first purpose brand. Mm-hmm. So our purpose at Simply Health is to improve access to healthcare for all in the UK. And the reason that is our purpose is because healthcare is not organized in a fair way in this country. So if you look at just health insurance, so between private medical insurance, and other types of insurance. There's only 8 million people in the UK that have that. Well, that's less than 12% of the population. And more people, because the NHS, if you can get into the NHS, it's brilliant. But when you can't, you're a bit stuck. So we got a phone call into our customer service team 2 months ago from a lady whose husband had had a stroke, and therefore she was at home looking after him. And he needed, as part of rehabilitation, he needed access to physiotherapy, and there was a 24-week wait in her area. And he also needed incontinence diapers because that was part of his condition, and she couldn't afford it. So we then helped her in 2 ways. We helped her find, because how do you know, right? When you have to go private, how do you know if your physiotherapist is good? So we help find the right health professional, and we help with the funding of it in the form of, claiming back what you've spent. But when you hear those stories, you also want to do more. So we have a hardship fund. So we've given her money to see through the period that she's likely to have to be at home with her husband. And when you hear that, even telling the story makes me a bit like come on, Claudia. but that's different, right? And that fire in your belly to do good and to change things that are in effect system change, that is quite special. And we ask that from our agencies too. So we've recently appointed a new creative agency because their purpose is turning financial services into force for good. And I was like, yeah, I want to work with you. So it is true not just when you're in the organization, but also in the agencies that you choose.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Kara, I just want to come back to you. So thinking about inclusive marketing and the steps that brands or agencies might need to take to foster that, what are some of the challenges that you find lying in your path to making it happen?
I think the biggest thing is that the creative industry itself isn't as diverse as it should be. I think the amount of agencies that they've come into tender and you think there's 5 males here, white males here, who've incredibly talented.
Dressed like me.
Dressed like you, and coming to pitch on a women's brand, or they've got the odd woman in there. So this year, the big focus for our team is that we needed to find agencies, production crews. It's very rare to have female production crews. They are, you might have a female creative, you may have certain pockets, but that production side. So the campaigns that we've done this year, we have operated under around a 95% female crew, and that's just one aspect of diversity. The Wear the Damn Shorts campaign that we've just launched, we had all females in the creative ideation period, and the different stories that we had around why we were not wearing shorts. Then we did a research piece for over 4,000 women, so we went broad to make sure we covered everything. And when everything went live, it was super, super positive, really great. And then one person had commented that, I have vitiligo and you didn't showcase that. And that's really important to me. And it's that realization that you can't cover absolutely everything, but what you can control is making sure you are working with agencies and partners that have the same values as you, that understand the need to really understand the consumer. So if we are working with women, you either need to either have great experience around that space, and also who classes themselves as being a woman, and what does that look like? There's a broad spectrum that you need to feed into. So it's what can you account for as part of the creative process, part of the delivery and the execution process, but also where can you then support to make gains? And
just very quickly, Wear the Damn Shorts.
Yeah.
Are you able to share results, feedback? It's big, but from the inside,
yeah, the insight's been incredible. So this is the 3rd year that we've ran this campaign, and I can't take credit for year 1 because I was not in the business, but it came from a woman came into one of our stores. She'd seen some shorts in the window, thought they looked great, put them on. She'd been experiencing quite a lot within her life, and she just broke down in tears. She took the shorts off, she gave it to the sales assistant, and she said, "No, I'm not having this." And the sales assistant said, "No, here's the shorts, you need these," and she just gave it to them for free. And the woman Danielle, she then tweeted, say thank you so much to Sweaty Betty, the sales assistant, and then that's where it came from. And then each year we've evolved this idea of understanding why, what is affecting women. Last year we had 10 different stories. One was catcalling. On the day of the launch event, I walked in shorts at 7 a.m. and I got catcalled. And it was just what? 7 a.m. on a Tuesday in central London. But then this year we went even deeper, really broad research. 67% of women feel negatively about their bodies. 1 in 2 skip a workout because of how they feel in their kit. Like it's not good enough.
Yeah.
So the results are good. We're up plus 27% in search for shorts. The CFO's happy. We're plus 27% on shorts. It has dropped down. Year-on-year investment has dropped down to revenue in year 3, which is great. But the most important thing for me is that the outpouring of women's stories.
Yeah.
Independent marketers have posted on LinkedIn, and then the stories that have come back from it. That's the most important thing.
That's brilliant, thank you. Now, you've all sort of touched on people. You were talking there about the industry is not diverse enough. And Richard, I'd like to come to you. As the founder of the School of Marketing, you see a heck of a lot of people coming into the industry, as well as the people who are in the industry. What are we doing, or let's be honest, failing to do to find the right talent to come into the industry to make the change happen? I feel I've been talking about this, certainly Ali will laugh at she's moved, but thank you very much, 5 minutes. But I feel I've been saying that for years sitting up here, but tell us.
First of all, Rich, you're going to rile me up right here, because that's an emotive question. And I think I can harp on about the biases that exist across the recruitment processes, and we all sort of know and feel them. So let me just put that aside for one moment. I think when we think about attracting diverse talent, let's start by retaining it first. Because ultimately, if we have the ability and we actually have the mindsets to want to really understand the people that sit within the organization, I assure you that word will spread and we'll have a greater ability to attract the right type of people who come through the doors far easier. And the stats are stacked against us. When I look at diverse talent's ability to rise through the ranks, look at retention rates, look at people who then sit on the C-suite, we all know that it's only in one direction. And by the way, this is not just about diversity, it's about inclusivity. I mean, I was speaking to a young mom the other day, and she was fearful of a motherhood tax. What is that about? It's ridiculous. So the point being is if we start by really looking internally first, to really understand the processes and the reasons why we're not able to keep talent, we then have a greater ability to attract the right people and hopefully make them stay and thrive.
Great, thank you. Now, we've got 3-4 minutes to go. I'm going to take one question from the floor, okay? So the rules of engagement are, it's got to be a question. And it's going to be a quick one. And then we're going to work out who's going to answer. Who would like to ask a question of any of the panelists? And I didn't give you any setup for that or warning. Yes, lady in the middle. And you have to tell us who you are and where you're from.
Hi, my name's Camelia Xavier Chahota. I'm from the Digital Voice. I have a question for you, Kerry. You mentioned that one of your ads, you made sure that you were having about 95% representation for females. Now, in a room like this today, I see quite a few female faces, but to the outside, hearing stats like that may appear like there's a huge pendulum swing to inequality, going too far. And I want to know, how do you help to sort of communicate that that's just rebalancing what's been imbalanced in the past?
I think that's an incredible question, and I think it's the hard thing for us is to educate people on the industry itself. I think there's my other half owns a production company, and it's not since that we have been together, and I take him to all of the events. So I'm a trustee at Badu Sports, and so he comes to to our Black History Month events, because our children, even though they're blonde hair, blue-eyed, he really wants them to be proud of their heritage. And he stands there and he's like, I need to do more. He said, I need to do more. He said, I'm part of this industry. And he goes, I only have men. I only have we have a lot of different backgrounds in terms of from across Europe and from the US. He goes, but I'm not doing enough. He said, so I need to take responsibility to make a shift. So I think it's the educating of the industry and just being proud about it and say, yeah, this is 95%. But if you go to any other shoot in any other industry, even within my team is supposed to be better. When I was on set the other day, I was like, God, this looks diverse. And then I looked around and I said, the only diversity outside of women was in my team that I have hired. And that so it's a balance, because you want the best people for the job, but you also need to have diverse thinking. That's the biggest part. We were talking about it earlier, neurodiversity within my team. I have a real range. And as a leader, I feel like I'm an empathetic leader. And it takes a lot of my energy to make sure I'm providing the environment for every single person to thrive. So, but it's just explaining that to people. I think with things going backwards the way it has been, it's just keep beating of the drum. Yeah. And I'm not going to be apologetic for the decisions that I've made, because I'm trying to reverse the curve and give people opportunities. And that's what my role is.
Great, thank you. Now, we're finished now. Everybody's on time here. Final wrap-up, quick question, or obviously they'll haul us off the stage. The quick question is, quick fire round, best bit of career advice you've got that you would like to share with the room? Make it quick.
Yes, this was from Mickey Pant, who was the CMO at Yum, and he said, don't be so impatient. I hated his advice at the time, but it's true. If you're in a job for more than 2 years, you get to know it better, you get to achieve more. So there you go. Advice I didn't want that I'm now giving out.
Don't be so impatient. Love that. Kerry?
So mine is from my old marketing director. He said, no one knows what they're doing. You have to remember this. He said, no one knows what they're doing. He said, your job is to find the calm in the chaos. And I think every time I start to have a wobble or think, I'm like, no one else knows what they're doing. I need to just, what's the calm? And then I need to go after that.
Love it. Katie?
Mine is to surround yourself with people who really support you and lift you up. So I think whether you want to talk about imposter syndromes or not feeling like you deserve the seat at the table, I've definitely had a lot of that. Come from Finland. I didn't think that I could ever get a job in London with the big brands, and somebody told me, why not you? So I put my hand up, and here I am 20 years later. So surrounding yourself with people who can really support you, just throw your hat in the ring.
And lastly, Richie.
I heard this from one of my old mentors, and they said that anyone who is someone is known for something. So be very careful about what you want to be known for and go after that.
I love that. Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to say thank you very much to the panel. I'd love you to give a warm round of applause to Claudia, Kerry, Gertu, and Richie. A real thank you for me. You'll be around for, you're all around for a bit, aren't you? For seconds. If you want to come over, pepper them and ask them for selfies, you can do that. I didn't get my selfie with Lenny Henry, but you can get one with Kerry Williams, or Claudia. And then before I go off stage, Ali, thank you. I mean it. You do amazing work. We all should be bloody grateful for you every day.